Sarah had never been satisfied with her life. She had married Mark thinking he would provide her with the lavish lifestyle she always craved, but after years of watching him settle for mediocrity, resentment began to fester. Mark was a kind, hard-working man, but kindness didn't buy designer bags or first-class tickets to Paris. What did, however, was his life insurance policy, a hefty sum that could change her life overnight. The idea came to her on an ordinary evening. Mark had fallen asleep early, exhausted from another long day at work. Sarah sat on the couch, scrolling through crime forums out of boredom, when she stumbled upon a thread discussing insurance scams. The more she read, the more intrigued she became. By the time she reached the last post, a chilling thought took hold of her mind. If Mark were to die unexpectedly, she would walk away a millionaire. She dismissed the thought at first. She wasn't a killer. But as days passed, and she found herself drowning in the monotony of their simple life, the idea refused to leave her mind. She began researching ways people had committed the perfect crime, learning from their mistakes, figuring out what not to do. The plan started to take shape. Hiring someone seemed like the safest option. She scoured the dark corners of the internet, searching for someone willing to do the job. It wasn't easy, but after weeks of searching, she found the perfect man. Jason, a desperate ex-con with nothing to lose. They met in a rundown motel outside town, where she handed him half the payment in cash. "I want it to look like a robbery," she instructed, her voice steady. Jason smirked, pocketing the money. "Consider it done." 2 nights later, Mark was walking home from work when it happened. A masked man emerged from the shadows, a glinting blade in hand. Mark barely had time to react before the cold steel pierced his stomach. He gasped, his knees buckling as blood seeped through his shirt. "Please, I have a wife," he choked out. Jason leaned in, whispering in his ear. "Yeah, I know." Mark's body was discovered the next morning, lifeless in a dimly lit alley. The police concluded it was a mugging gone wrong, just as Sarah had planned. She played her role perfectly, collapsing in grief, sobbing at the funeral, thanking people for their condolences with trembling hands. No one suspected a thing. Weeks later, the insurance payout arrived, and Sarah wasted no time indulging in the lifestyle she had always dreamed of. She moved into a luxury apartment, bought expensive jewelry, and spent nights drinking champagne on a balcony overlooking the city. Then, one evening, an envelope arrived. No return address. Inside was a single note, typed in bold letters. "I know what you did. He wasn't alone that night. Expect me soon." Her heart pounded. Had Jason betrayed her? Had someone seen the murder? She burned the note, convincing herself it was a prank. But paranoia crept in. She started locking all the doors, glancing over her shoulder, flinching at every unexpected sound. Weeks passed, and just as she began to feel safe again, it happened. She was alone in her apartment, pouring herself a glass of wine, when she heard it. A soft creak from the hallway. Her breath hitched. Slowly, she turned around. Standing in the dim light was Mark. His clothes were stained with blood, his lifeless eyes locked onto hers. A strangled scream escaped her lips as she stumbled backward, the glass slipping from her fingers and shattering on the floor. "No, this isn't real," she whispered, her voice shaking. Mark took a step closer. "Did you really think I wouldn't come back for you?" Darkness swallowed the room. The next morning, Sarah was found dead in her apartment. The official cause was listed as a heart attack, but the expression on her face, twisted in terror, told a different story. The neighbor who last saw her swore that, in the dead of night, she had heard Sarah's desperate screams echoing through the halls. One word, over and over. "Mark!"